Okay, today we're going to complete the square. And what the complete the square is useful for are problems that can't factor. So if I take this problem, for example, and I get it equal to 0, if I subtract 10 from both sides, I'd have to look for two numbers that multiply to give me negative 10, but add to give me 6. Well, your possibilities are negative 1 and 10, 1 and negative 10, negative 2 and 5, and 2 and negative 5. And none of those are going to add to give me 6. So when we run into that, before we would write prime. Okay? But now we actually can solve these problems. All right? And here's how we do it. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write steps over here. And as I'm writing steps, I'm going to do the problem over here. Very similar to graphing. Okay? So the first thing when you're completing the square that you want to do is you want it to get it to look like this, where it says x squared plus bx is equal to c. Now our problem is already set up like that. We brought our c value 10 over to the opposite side. The other important part is a has to be 1. So what that means is this first number has to be 1. If it's not 1, you have to divide the entire problem by that number. So make sure that you do that. Okay? Step 2, whatever your b value is, whatever your value beside x is, you're going to divide it by 2, and you're going to square it. Then you're going to add that to both sides. So add to both sides. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take our b value. In our case, our b value is 6. So we're going to take 6, we're going to divide it by 2, and we're going to square it. Now make sure you add it to both sides. A lot of people forget to add it to the other side. So 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 3 squared is 9. So I'm going to add 9 to both sides of my problem. So I added 9 to that side, added 9 to that side. Okay? The next thing is factor the left. And what the left side will become, it'll become the same thing twice. So you're going to end up with something squared is equal to a number. So let me walk you through that. So if I factor this side, I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to give me 9 but add to give me 6. These numbers will always be the same. Because you added that number, you added this number to both sides, you're setting up the left side to work out perfectly every single time. So what are the two numbers that multiply to give me 9 but add to give me 6? Well, that would be x plus 3, x plus 3, because 3 times 3 is 9, 3 plus 3 is 6. And over here, 10 plus 9 is 19. Okay? Now, this can be written a different way. Since there's two of them, you can write this as x plus 3 squared is equal to 19. And that's what this looks like now. All right? So, step 4. Take the square root of both sides. So, we're going to have something squared on this side, and we're going to have a number on this side, and we're going to take this plus or minus square root of both sides. Okay, so I'm going to take the square root. So I'm going to do plus or minus the square root of x plus 3 squared plus or minus the square root of 19. Okay, the radical and squared cancel. That's the purpose of doing the square root, is to get rid of this little square. So I'm going to have x plus 3 is equal to plus or minus radical 19. And then step 5 is solve for x. So if I'm going to get x by itself, I'm going to subtract 3. So I've got x is equal to negative 3 plus or minus radical 19. Now, a couple things you have to notice is the 3 and the 19 are separate. One's irrational, one's an irrational, so you keep them separate, just like your friends. Okay? The rational friends are the ones that are coming to bail you out of jail. The irrational friends are the ones sitting next to you in jail going, man, that was a lot of fun. Okay? They don't belong together. All right? Another thing you have to look for is 19. Is any of those numbers that we talked about earlier, 4, 9, 16, 25, so on and so forth, divide evenly into 19? Because if they do, you have to do something about it. This one doesn't, so this is my answer. So this would be my 0. So if I draw a parabola, this is where it would cross the x-axis at. If this number is ever negative underneath the radical, the answer is no solution. Okay, so if you ever see a negative underneath the radical, you write no solution. All right? Okay. Good luck. Let me know if you have any questions.